What's up, guys? It's Eric from Rare Candy, and today we're back with kind of an interesting video. Recently, Marcus from the channel actually picked up these arena battle decks, and we decided to record a quick little game with them just to show you kind of what comes in them and how they play. And I gotta say, this is actually a really fun video to watch, or I'm sorry, to make, because these decks are actually very similar to these old archetypes from maybe like the 2012, 2013 type of format. So I'm going to be on the left playing Rayquaza EX with Eeelektrik. So for you newer players, you're probably very confused because I didn't say Mega Rayquaza, and I said Eeelektrik and not Eelektross. Yeah, so back in the day, there was an Eeelektrik, which is currently available for use in Expanded, and actually I believe top 8'd or at least day 2'd Arizona Regionals this season as well. So still a good card. But yeah, so Rayquaza was very dominant back then, and then Marcus is over there on the right playing Keldeo EX and Blastoise. So over here, the idea on for this Rayquaza deck is you want to swarm as many of these Eeelektriks and possible Eeelektriks on the field as possible because they help accelerate energy onto your Pokemon. And Rayquaza, he has this attack called Dragon Burst for a fire and a lightning. You discard either all lightning or all fire attached to him, and you do 60 times the number of energy you discarded. So this card released back in the day when we didn't have Fighting Fury Belt, and pretty much, there were no megas, so everything just had either like 170 or 180 hit points. So this Rayquaza was very able to take one-hit knockouts. That's what kind of made it good. So here we just got a fire attached to our Rayquaza. I've got a Dynamo on the board with an Eeelektrik in hand, preparing for next turn. So it looks like we have a decent little setup going. So Marcus is going to play himself a dive ball, maybe get himself out a Squirtle potentially. Since Blastoise is kind of the heart of the deck. So the idea for this deck with Blastoise and Keldeo is Blastoise has the Rain Dance ability. It lets you attach as many water energy from your hand as you like to one of your Pokemon, and Keldeo does 50 plus 20 more for every water energy attached to it. So definitely some obvious synergy between both decks here. And so, trying to think on paper who is more favored. If Rayquaza can set up decently, I think Rayquaza might be more favored since it can take one-hit knockouts pretty easily, whereas Keldeo needs a lot of energy on it in order to one-shot this Rayquaza EX. So I think on paper, Rayquaza is probably the preferred deck in this matchup. But you never know. Marcus does have that nice Octillery in his deck, so that's an extra consistency boosting card that this Rayquaza deck doesn't have built into this arena battle deck. So that's really cool. I was very pleasantly surprised by how good these little starter decks actually work, because normally like a starter deck is usually trash. You get like 20 energy, barely any trainer cards, but these are actually real archetypes. Even has one copy of Versus Seeker in both decks too, so probably the best like quote-unquote starter decks that you could get if you're just starting out. Here Marcus is getting himself down a second Squirtle. I apologize for the glare there. I didn't know it was that bad when we recorded the video. But it's definitely smart just in case I do have a way to Lysander up that's one of those Squirtles. It kind of takes the option of stalling a turn 2 Blastoise for him. So here I'm getting down a Pikachu, going for a Skyla, and here I have a couple options because I don't have a supporter in hand for the following turn. So there's a couple different things I could get here. So it looks like in my hand I just have a Dedenne, a Raichu, and some energy. So I could go for a Lysander and try to bring up something to stall, but I don't know if that's the best idea because Keldeo has the Russian ability, so you can't really stall your opponent. So I can maybe grab just like a Sycamore or Juniper or something for the next turn. Or maybe you could potentially get out Eeelektrik and start powering up this Rayquaza EX. Or even Pikachu as well. It's hard to say. Or Dedenne. Here it looks like I'm eyeing down N. Yeah, and here I was just really torn between what to grab. But I ended up saying screw it. I grabbed a Level Ball. just because once this if this time mode gone down, I'm going to be in a really bad situation just because you really need 2 or 3 of these eels on the board at a time to make sure that you can stream knockouts with Rayquaza. So I felt it was maybe better just to get out the Electric and Dynamotor to get some energy on the field. So here I got to attach that extra energy from the discard with the Electric, attach to Lightning for hand. Then if we top deck one or draw support or something, we will be able to take a knockout on Keldeo. But here Marcus luckily ends us, refreshing our hand. So I'm not going to say no to that. So here Marcus needs a rare candy, a Blastoise, and another water energy. That's kind of what he needs ideally here. If he does with it, we're actually going to be in great shape because we have a switch in hand as well. So that will allow us to accelerate energy onto this Rayquaza EX and then switch into it and take a knockout on Keldeo. And I'm not sure if Marcus got what he needed though, just because he's not really playing much down here. Okay, it looks like he's just going to see a pass, so I'm definitely excited about that. I'll attach a Lightning for turn to not Mega Rayquaza, I'm just in the habit of saying that for standard format. Here we're going to do Dynamotor. Let's see, and debating on benching another Pikachu. I mean, I think that's okay. Raichu seems like a decent attacker. And I opted to switch into because we have a Sky Arrow Bridge out. It's a Stadium card. Let's basic Pokemon retreat for 1 less. So it basically gives us a free retreater. And here now we are ready to attack. So we're just going to bring up our Rayquaza EX and use Dragon Burst to take a knockout on this Keldeo EX. So definitely what we like to see. And it looks like Mark's got an Octillery. That'll definitely be a big help. Has that nice ability, Abyssal Hand. Lets you draw until you have 5 cards in your hand. So he needs a lot here. He needs Blastoise, Keldeo EX, and a bunch of energy in order to knock out this Rayquaza. He needs at least Keldeo and 3 energy in order to start attacking, though. But Marks does have that teammate, so that does allow him to get a couple pieces of the puzzle. It's a supporter card. You can only play it if one of your Pokemon was knocked out on your opponent's last turn. So, but it's nice because it'll let him grab any 2 cards out of his deck, and he doesn't have to show me what they are either. So Mark's can maybe grab a couple of pieces to this puzzle that I'm describing here, and then play his hand down a bunch, and then refresh it with this Octillery as well. So let's see what he opts to grab here. Okay, Keldeo and a Blastoise. Oh, and he has a superior energy retrieval. It is unfortunate he did have to discard a second one, though. That's not what you want to see. But item card, you discard 2 cards from your hand and get 4 basic energies out of your discard pile. And so here he's going to use Abyssal Hand to draw until he has 5 cards. So right now he's hitting for 130. He needs 2 more energy, and he got it off the Abyssal Hand. And that's insane. Marcus got everything he needed. It's crazy how consistent this deck is, even though it's kind of just like a modified starter deck. It's kind of like a budget version of what Blastoise Keldeo used to look like. So that just shows you how strong this concept was back when it was a popular deck. So we definitely are not excited about this. I definitely did not expect Marcus's board to look like that after we knocked out that Keldeo. So, but luckily, this Dedenne could actually be a relevant attacker here. Dedenne has the attack energy short. For a colorless, you get to do 20 times the number of energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon. So we can potentially 2-shot this guy with Dedenne. Well, get in the first hit with our Dedenne, and then finish him off with this Zekrom that we're starting to power up on the bench as well. On the following turn, once this Dedenne inevitably gets knocked out. Okay, so it looks like we're hitting for 120, I believe. Yeah. So crazy little Dedenne did 120 to this Keldeo EX. He's going to Sycamore, getting rid of some more cards out of his hand. I think he just had a Karen, a Sycamore, and something else I couldn't see. So hopefully he can get himself. Needs another attacker. Oh, he does have Regice in his hand. That could be potentially relevant. But he is starting to build up a Milotic as well. For you guys who aren't aware, Milotic has an ability. Whenever you evolve into it, you get any card out of your discard into your hand. So he will be able to potentially get back one of those superior energy retrievals, or maybe a Keldeo or something as well. Okay, so here we're going to evolve in Raichu. I'd imagine we'll probably see a Dynamotor onto Zekrom here. And then an attachment from hand just to finish it off with a... oh god, what is Zekrom's attack? I forget. Bolt Strike, that's what it is. This card was like so popular for the longest time, I can't believe that. I forgot what it did. Oh, here it looks like I'm actually eyeing down attacking with Raichu. And I don't know if there is a better attacker here between this or Zekrom. Maybe Raichu is the better attacker in this particular situation just because we might not be able to hit for a lot on future turns since we don't have many bench Pokemon, but Zekrom will be guaranteed to still do 120. So Raichu has the Circle Circuit attack, is 20 times the number of bench Pokemon you have. So right now we only had 3, but luckily that was just enough to knock out this Keldeo EX. So going down to 2 prizes, what does Marcus promote here? I think probably just the Phoebus because it has free retreat from the Sky Arrow Bridge. Yeah, it seems good to me. So he can maybe play some cards from his hand before retreating into something else, potentially. So what does Marcus do here? He just really needs an attacker. Worst case scenario, he can actually bring up Blastoise and take a knockout with it. Since Blastoise does, I believe it's 60 plus 10 more for every water attached to it. Oh, and Marcus actually does have the Milotic in hand, so he will be able to grab one of those resources out of his discard pile. So he's going to opt for the Keldeo EX. And does he have the energy? He's just sitting on 4 energy in his hand. So dang. Again, Marcus coming out of nowhere with these fully powered up Keldeos. That is crazy. So Marcus is going to go for a Skyla. I'm not sure what he wants to grab here. I'm really not sure. Professor's Letter, I guess why not get even more energy? So 2 more water energy down onto this Keldeo probably. I think Marcus is just going all in here. He's basically saying, hey, you need to... because basically I think he's conceding the fact that this Keldeo has to go the distance, and... okay, he's not going to attach the energy, so that's fine though. He doesn't need to. But I almost might, just because this Keldeo either has to go the distance and win the game, I think, or I don't know. Maybe he can save the energy to powerful Blastoise, but yeah, maybe that is a better idea just because he's anticipating probably a Bolt Strike happening this turn to do 120, so he'll probably want to retreat and attack with something else that only gives up 1 prize. So actually probably holding on to the energy is the right thing here. So what do we do? What do we do? We have, I think, a Dene in hand, if I'm not mistaken here. So here I'm going to Dynamotor. Thinking about benching the Dene. I think that's fine since it will allow us to help clean up this game. So here we're going to do a Bolt Strike for 120. So we only need to attack this Keldeo one more time and it's going to go down. Only problem is Marcus is going to retreat this thing more than likely. Okay, so what does he have? We know he has the 2 water energy at the least. So I would imagine we'll probably see some attaching to a Blastoise if I just had to guess. Because I believe he has 2 in play. Okay, he's eyeing down the Regice actually. I'm actually not crazy about Regice as an attacker since it's really only good against EXs, I think. And here he's going to do Ice Beam, do 30 and will paralyze me. So here looks like I had a Professor's Letter in hand. We could probably play it just to thin our deck a little bit. and check what's prized. We still have another Rayquaza. We have another Electric in there. We have a Versus Seeker and a Lysander in deck still as well. So we definitely have some good stuff in there that we can make some use of. So, I mean, we can get some energy, but I think we have a Birch in hand. We probably just want to play it. So I'll go ahead and attach to that. Victini has the attack of Recreate. So you can only use this attack if you have a full bench and does 100 damage. But here I play Professor Birch's Observations, shuffle my hand into my deck, flip a coin. If heads, you draw 7. If tails, you draw 4. So hopefully we can get something good for the following turn. We do have an N, we have a Floatstone, so not the greatest stuff. I'd imagine we'll probably see Marcus take a knockout here with Resistance Blizzard, if I just had to guess. Since we know he does have a water in hand. And here Marcus is going to do Abyssal Hand, draw himself a couple extra cards. And yeah, we're going to see a Resistance Blizzard that will prevent EXs from doing damage to this Regice. Oh, but luckily top deck Lysander. And then we're just going to, it looks like I almost put up the Dene. But here I'm going to attach to Victini and come up with a V-Create for 100 damage to finish off this Keldeo for the game. So yeah guys, that's going to be it. I know this is not the most competitive video, but it's definitely fun to revisit some of these older format decks that we don't really get to play with as much. But it's kind of nice to prep for Expanded, just to kind of get in the mood to play with some of these older cards again. Since I know I'm going to be at Philadelphia Regionals to play in Expanded, so it's kind of cool getting to revisit some of these old decks. But anyways guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. As usual, feel free to like and subscribe, and don't forget to check out our merch over at rarecandytcg.com. If you can pick yourself up a playmat or a t-shirt or something, help support the channel, it would mean a lot to us. But with that, I appreciate you watching, and we will see you for the next one, okay?